What's up, YouTube? I'm Mike, and today I'm back shooting a video that honestly, earlier today, I didn't want to be shooting. I didn't want to be sitting inside of my house right now when I saw the video of President Donald Trump being shot. I didn't even believe it was real. I was in the gym and I was on Discord and somebody shared the video of the president suddenly grabbing his ear and going to the ground and then standing back up with the blood on his hand. And I went running over to my wife and I said, is this real? Is this really happening? I thought maybe it was some kind of joke, or I don't know. You know, it was like when the trade towers fell. You're watching something you can't fucking believe it's actually happening. And the roller coaster of emotions that I've been on today since I realized it was real has been one hell of a mind fuck. With all of the hormones that I've got going on in my system right now and the ups and downs that I've been experiencing emotionally, I honestly wanted nothing more than to see conservative people show their asses the way all of the George Floyd followers did and run into the streets and start tearing this country apart. But that's the difference, right? That's what separates us on the right from the animals on the left. The fucking animals on the left. We don't tear our country apart because we disagree with something that happens. The reason that America is the country that it is today is because of people like Donald Trump who were willing to walk away from their families and their careers to try to make this country a better place to live in. We have not had a president that even remotely comes close to this man since Washington. Since the founding fathers, no one has even come close to holding a fucking torch to the man that Donald Trump has been. You can hate him for all of the fucking known reasons. The reason that you hate Donald Trump, if you're on the left, and even some of us on the right, I'm not in love with everything the guy ever said, because he's real. He's not a career politician. He doesn't give a fuck what anybody thinks. He's not bought and paid for like Joe Biden and Nancy Pelosi and all of the fucking left-wing pieces of shit that have been running this country for years. He's not bought and paid for. He's not scripted. And so you get something very akin to me when you listen to Donald Trump talk. You get somebody who's unhinged and who does not give a shit what anybody else thinks. And that was one of the things I think scared me today. That, you know, when I get scared, I get angry. And today I was scared to death. I mean, one tiny millimeter, his head turns in any direction basically other than exactly the direction it was facing. And I would have watched the man who I have never been so proud in my life to vote for get his head blown off on national television. And so I've been sitting here hoping, honestly, that we were going to rise up today and pour into the streets and start tearing down statues and looting buildings and setting fires. But that's not what we do. That's not what we do. So what we're going to do, hopefully, is motivate every American in this country to get up off of their asses and go cast a ballot, despite the fact that I think that democracy is dead, that there is no hope of a better future as long as it is a democratic one, because government of the people, for the people, and by the people does not work when the average American is a fucking retard. When you look at the people who were flooding into the streets over Palestine, that's America today. When you see the people who flooded into the streets over George Floyd, that's the people of America today. The fucking animals who don't deserve a right. But that's what our country's about, giving everyone a fair chance. For some reason, all of the 4+ million gun owners in this country, they stay in the woods, in the holler, in the fucking out in the country. They're not pouring into the city streets, ready to rise up and do something about what happened today. And so I've been sitting here for hours trying to figure out what video I could make that would even be remotely honest that wouldn't get my entire channel taken down and or me arrested for sedition. If I was to truly speak my mind in this moment, there is no chance that any of my views would see the light of day. But if you have half of a fucking brain and you've been listening to me for any length of time, if you've watched my videos, for example, on what I would do to solve the drug crisis in this country, what I would do to solve the homeless crisis in this country, then you've gotten a taste and you could probably put some things together. If you've been following me for any length of time, you know exactly what I want to see happen in this country. Unfortunately, it's almost certainly never going to happen. So the only thing that's giving me any peace of mind tonight is watching this video and realizing what it must be like to be Donald Trump right now. I know exactly what it is to have a God complex. I know exactly what it is to walk around this country feeling like you are the one. Like you are fucking Neo in the Matrix and you have the ability to bend this entire world to your will, because I have been doing it as long as I can think. I have managed to get away with more shit in my life than anyone has a right to get away with. And Donald Trump must be feeling tonight like he has got a mandate from God. Because in order for this man to still be alive today, his head had to be lined up perfectly where he was looking when that round nicked his ear. Anything to the left or the right, up, I mean, basically any movement at all. In that fraction of a second that bullet whizzed by him, and he's a dead man. He's a dead man. And so while what happened today was horrific, it rips my heart out that it was even capable to have happened, because I don't think it's possible that something like that happened unless somebody was in on it. When you look at the video, the bystander basically video, the guy who's got the fucking visor on with the crazy orange hair coming up the top, he was standing there outside of the cordoned off area, and they were the ones yelling at the police that there's a guy on the building right there with a fucking rifle. So they were warned ahead of time, and he asked the perfect question. How is it possible that anybody could be on this building? This is not a big area. There's not a lot of buildings in this area. Why is there not a Secret Service agent on every single building in this entire area? But there wasn't. When you look at the footage, when Trump stands back up, I can't remember, if you look at the footage from one of the angles, you can see the counter snipers on top of the building behind Donald Trump. And it was not, I mean, it was only a couple of seconds between this guy stopping firing his rifle and before they blew his libtard brains out all over the top of that fucking building. Before they gave him exactly what he deserved. Now, if you're asking me, every single person in this fucking country who voted for Joe Biden is complicit in this act. As far as I'm concerned, they should have all been on that building right next to him and should have received the same fate. They all deserve it in the same way that he did tonight. But Donald Trump is still alive and well. The attempt by this guy and or whoever was behind him failed. How could it fail? How could you miss that shot? The guy was able to get on top of a building and get a broad view of the president with, I'm assuming, a well-calibrated rifle, and he hit his ear. He nicked the ear. You couldn't do that again in a million years if you tried. You could never recreate this shot. I don't give a shit. You have no way of knowing where this man's head is going to move, to what degree, to what angle. You could not recreate this shot if you spent a million years trying. That is some kind of divine intervention, some kind of script, Something happened today, and it happened the only way it could have happened, and that gives me hope. The one and only thing in this entire event that gives me any hope at all is that Donald Trump is still standing against all odds. So clearly, this world is not done with him. Clearly, he has more work to do. And the pictures that are coming out of this event bring one thing to mind. There's only one thing I have ever seen that even looks close to Donald Trump standing up with the blood dripping out of his ear. And this is probably something that only really means a lot to a Texan. But I used to have a picture. My dad, actually, I think, had the picture on his wall. It may still be on the wall in his bedroom today, of the great Nolan Ryan, who pitched for the Texas Rangers and took a fucking line drive shot, I think, to the face. And this man was free bleeding for I cannot remember how many innings and continued to pitch that game. And there are some of the most moving images of a stone cold motherfucker standing on that mound. A good old country boy standing on that mound continuing to pitch. And after Donald Trump, I mean, nearly, just barely survived death, he stood up and looked at his people and said, "Fight." That is the kind of man who should be running this country. Not the fucking vegetable who doesn't know where he is, who introduces the president of a foreign nation by the name of his mortal fucking enemy. Can you imagine if somebody had called Winston Churchill Hitler? How could you do that? Donald Trump is the president that we should have had 4 years ago. He's the president that needs to be elected in 2024. And if it was up to me, he would annihilate term limits and he would take power in this country and hold it for as long as he can, because he is absolutely the only human being on the face of this earth right now who has what it takes to put this country back in its place. If that man had died tonight on that podium, there is no one in this country that anyone knows about today who has 1/10 of the fucking grit that this man has. He has been assaulted for years from every angle, with litigation, with felony charges. He's had his name drugged. I can't even imagine all of the struggles this man has had to survive in all of these corrupt fucking politically motivated assassination attempts of his character, of his businesses, of his reputation. They have threatened him with prison on some of the most insanely bullshit, trumped up charges. And this man just keeps fighting for a country that has been hell-bent on destroying him for the last 8 years. This is a man we do not deserve tonight. And yet he is still here trying to fight for us. I consider myself lucky to have lived to witness one of the greatest presidents this world has ever known. And I hope to God I will be sitting in this living room watching him get elected in a few short months, because there is absolutely no one on earth more deserving of this position of power than Donald Trump. As always, thank you for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.